All right, guys, today we're talking about everyone's favorite topic, the best high-powered 72-volt, I guess, electric dirt bikes, emotos, e-bikes, whatever you want to really call them. To me, e-bike is the catch-all term that most people use, but don't be confused. These are not going to be your usual 750-watt e-bikes. These are the high-power, more fun option. And this video is kind of a follow-up to my previous video on the best overall e-bikes in the market, where I gave you guys, I think, like 4 of my top bikes in terms of value right now. And those bikes were fantastic, but they were more so mid-range than what I'm covering today. This is going to be the upper end of the spectrum. And I guess eventually my next video can be budget bikes, so the opposite end. But today is all about high-powered 72-volt bikes, and I'm gonna split this video into 2 categories: the street legal, and then the not street legal, or the exclusively off-road dirt bikes that nobody actually buys for exclusive off-road purposes. Now, just like 2-3 years ago, there was essentially no street legal e-motors in the market. And luckily that's been changing. And street legal here, just so you guys know, doesn't mean 750 watts and pedals. It means a VIN number, mirrors, turn signals, all of the things that can make a bike legal for street purposes. And even aside from the legality of it, having blinkers, proper lights, a mirror, I just prefer that versus not having it. Bare bones bikes that didn't have any of these features used to be acceptable in my estimation, but today I just have less and less patience for bare bone bikes, especially when they're not bare bone prices. But okay, the newest bike in this category that I really want to get my hands on is the new, what is it, XQi3. I believe this is a Chinese company, so just be aware of that. But I really like the new, fresh design here. They tried something new, and I think they did an excellent job. It's not just another Suron ripoff. This is its own thing, and I think you would agree that this is a very attractive bike. It's not too large, bulky, anything like that, and it looks modern and futuristic. Of course, every bike on this list, 72 volts. The capacity here of the battery isn't huge. This is probably the biggest weak point. It's only 32 amp hours. And just given that this is a street legal bike, meaning that it's made for commuting, more longer distance, faster travel speeds, 32 amp hours it's not gonna last you that long. We're talking maybe, like, of course, depending on how you ride, weight, all things like that, we're talking just like 30 miles. So again, that's easily the weakest point of this bike. It does pack a good amount of power. The motor here, 8 kilowatts, and it's a mid-drive configuration. And that's gonna give you an excellent amount of torque. It's a great acceleration. Top speed is, I think, only like 47 miles per hour. It's not a super fast bike, but it's super peppy, and that's what really matters for people that use it to commute around town. And the price tag right now is $5,500, which I think is reasonable. Again, the battery capacity is on the lower end, but the design, the build quality, the included technology is very nice. The next bike in this category is what I'm on right now, the Solar Eclipse 2.0. This is street legal. We have the mirrors. This is all stock, turn signals, headlights, all DOT approved components. A VIN number, all that kind of stuff. This is a weird intersection. This bike, in comparison to the XQi3, the Solar Eclipse 2.0 is the more powerful option with the bigger battery. So if that was a deal breaker for you, I would point you in the direction of this bike. The price is very similar. This is just $500 more at the $6,000 price point. But the battery here, it's 72 volts, 45 amp hours, a much larger capacity, and this thing weighs less. The big selling point of this bike is the weight. This thing weighs less than the QXi3 and really, I think, every other bike in the category because of the carbon fiber frame here. So this thing fully loaded is just 138 pounds. So that means that the power to weight ratio here is extremely high. In fact, it's class leading because on top of being light, this also has a ton of power. So this is rated at 2 kilowatts more than the XQi3 at 10 kilowatts. Again, we have a mid-drive configuration here, so the torque, acceleration, it's all on point. And I can tell you from first-hand experience, this thing is just a blast to ride. It is so quick, agile, and fully street legal. So those are my top 2 picks for street legal emotos. If instead you want to opt for those legal gray zone bikes, I think the leading bike in this category, and the only one I would really buy right now, is the eRide Pro S. And I say that because this is essentially a Sur-Ron, but with a 72 volt battery stock. If you try to do this upgrade yourself, so buy a Sur-Ron and then also buy a 72 volt battery, it's gonna cost you like an extra $2,000. So the fact that this is, by default, a 72 volt Sur-Ron, and the price tag here is 4,000 bucks, it's kind of unbeatable. We do have a second model, the SS, which is double the power. It goes from 6 kilowatts peak to 12 kilowatts peak. And it gives you extra battery capacity as well. The S model is 72 volts, 30 amp hours, and the SS, 40 amp hours. Now finally, I do have one other bike that really straddles the gap between the street legal emotos and whatever the eRide Pro S is. And you probably never heard of this bike before. I did cover it a couple months back on the channel when it was first announced, and right now it's on pre-order. FYI, I'm not affiliated with this company or any other mentioned. This is just my honest opinion. And on the surface, it might not look too special. It does have a fresh, clean design. I like it. It's not my absolute favorite looking bike ever, but I can appreciate a well-designed bike when I see one, and I think this falls into that category. Let's go this way. But the thing that really makes this bike special is the options, or I guess you can say the modularity here. Because you can get this bike, the same exact bike, in essentially 4 different configurations. You can choose between a mid-drive and a hub drive, something that I've never seen before and I think more companies should offer. And you can choose between pedals and pegs. So essentially, if you want to ride this on the street, the configuration I would go with is a hub drive, because it'll be dead silent, very low key, and the pedals. As long as you ride that in a responsible way, I don't really see you having much issues. At least just from my personal experience, it's not a guarantee. But then if you want the more fun build out, of course you would go with the mid-drive and pegs. The bike's a little bit expensive. It's $6,200. But that's for the version that has a 50 amp hour battery, which is certainly the one I would go for. 50 amp hours is a huge battery, and it should relieve essentially all range anxiety issues you might face. Oh, and the bikes also have an insane amount of power. So between the hub and the mid-drive, they're a little bit different, but they both have a pretty conservative nominal power of like 3 to 5 kilowatts, but their peak is around 20 kilowatts. So that means the acceleration, the torque, even on the hub, should be very adequate. So if you're a little bit hesitant as to which kind of bike you should go with, a street legal or something like the Sur-Ron or the eRide Pro S, this could be a great kind of middle ground alternative. Plus, I mean, the bike just looks really cool. So that's my list of the best 72 volt high performance bikes in the market. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And again, I will have a follow-up video pretty soon on the channel covering the best sub $2,000 budget bikes in the market. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.